Hi, I'm Matthias from mamoworld.com, and today I want to show you a little rig in After Effects where you can dynamically wrap text based on the width of a box, or actually based on any width. You can see here I'm moving this shape layer in the background, and the text has an expression on its source text such that line breaks are inserted such that it always stays inside the box no matter how I resize it. Let's see how this is working. So we want to start from scratch. Here in this composition I just have a background shape layer and a text layer. For this text layer I did nothing so far except that with pins and boxes I applied this anchor point tool, which applied an expression on the anchor point to make sure the text has its anchor point in the middle. This just means the text stays nicely aligned. Even if it got multiple lines, it always stays in the center. Just a little detail, but to explain what we want to do now, we want to first measure the width of this box, and then we want to apply an expression to the source text such that it makes sure it shrinks when the box size here shrinks accordingly. We do this in two steps. To measure the size of the box, we need to create two pins for it. So I shift click on the pins button of pins and boxes. By the way, if you don't know pins and boxes yet, if you do dynamic layouts in After Effects, take a look at it. It has very powerful features, and one of them is that you can create pins. And the cool idea of pins is we have now here these pins, and let me move those on top of the text and make the layer here a bit longer such that you can actually see them. The pins are here, these shape layers, and the cool thing is that they are linked now to this box, because this is what I selected when I clicked on pins. And this means if I now change here this box, they always stay attached exactly to this point of the box. Yeah, this is like measuring certain points of a certain layer. And those pins now stay attached, and we need them to measure the width of the box. Next, we want to connect this text to the box. And the first thing we want to do here is first enter some sample text. It actually doesn't matter at all what I type. I just want to say that at the current width, this is the current width that I now start with, and it actually doesn't matter with which width you start, like your default width of the box maybe. So enter a text as long as you want a line to be at most. Yeah, so I don't want to be the text longer than this, so instead of typing sample text I just type this and don't type more than that. And now all I need to do is I select the two pins and the text layer, yeah, to say from these pins please measure the size of the box, and to this text please apply the line break logic and consider its current width. And then we need another tool. So far we worked here with pins and boxes, and now we use my other extension, automation blocks, which comes with a ton of ready-to-use tools for all kinds of things in After Effects, or also in Premiere Pro, but this is the After Effects version obviously. And if the built-in tools are not enough, there is a community library where people from the community and also myself add more and more tools to automation blocks. And one tool I just added, you find it in the category rigs and presets text of the automation blocks community library, is here this tool. Apply dynamic line wrap expression to select the text layers with pins. So you don't have this installed if you install automation blocks by default. You need to first click here on more from community, and there you find a link which explains you how to access the community library. And in the community library under rigs and presets text, you find this script, and you just need to copy it to your user library in automation blocks, and then you will find it in here. But this is all described under this link if you click here, how to install this tool. Once you have this tool installed, it's really super easy. Just select the two pins and your text layer and click run. And it says done. And if we now check which expressions we have on our layers, you can see that here we also have an expression on our source text. This is a pretty long, complex expression. And it does the following. It says, I know now when the distance between this pin and this pin is as wide as it is right now, then I can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 with the space, 8, 9. I can have 9 letters at most, and never more than that. And if I start, if the distance now shrinks, then it will allow less letters per line and shrink it accordingly. So this means if we now go to our box and change it, here you can see once it shrinks, if we shrink it to half the size, it says we allow only half as many letters per line. Yeah? Now this also works if we change actually the text itself. So let me go here to the text layer, text tool, much longer text than before. Yeah, you can see that it also inserts line breaks to respect this width here. And you can also see that it actually breaks at words, so it doesn't split words themselves unless the words themselves are very long. Yeah, so if a single word is longer than the entire allowed line, then it does it. It breaks in the word, but otherwise it breaks at word boundaries. You can see now it starts breaking the words themselves. Okay, one thing you need to understand here is that this is purely based on amount of characters. And one thing that's also interesting is that it does not consider the height of the box. Yeah, it really just considers the width. And if you want like a clipping here, if you want this part to be clipped, then you need to do this with a matte layer. You could set the box as a matte layer to clip this, but this is like a different story. What really this expression is only interested in is the distance between this and this pin. Yeah, if this distance is a quarter of the original distance, it only allows a quarter of the number of letters in a single line and wraps the text accordingly to ensure that. It's not based on pixels, it's based on number of characters, because this is the only thing you can efficiently measure inside the expression. You can measure with expressions the bounding box of a text, but not of the text that you actually want to change. And therefore you can only rely on the number of characters here, unfortunately, which means it's not super accurate if you have lots of very wide or very small characters. Yeah, so we can do here a little test and just do a text of only W's, and you can see it breaks pretty late. Yeah, you would probably have one W later, because now we have just very wide characters, only W's. Yeah, so it breaks very late. And on the other hand, if I do here very small characters, it breaks at the same amount of characters, and this means in total it breaks early. Yeah, so maybe you want to really test your line break or the size of your box with W's. Or some other very wide character, and say this is actually the maximum I want to tolerate, and then expect that, or maybe let even the everything just W thing be a little bit wider than you want to allow, and assume nobody really just enters W's. You always have in a normal text a mixture of small or long or small or big characters. Yeah, but if you really want like a hard limit, you could really set it up that way that you first enter a whole row of W's and then apply the expression to 2 pins and this row of W's, and then it ensures that if you enter smaller, so not so wide characters, then it will just have a bigger margin and never a less margin to overlap here at the border, more or less. Yeah, this is the one limitation we have, that the expression is based on character count. But apart from that, it's really flexible, so it just needs these 2 pins to measure the size, and these 2 pins just need to be 2 pins that move with the box in which you want to keep your text. It doesn't really matter if they are at the top, at the bottom, or wherever. Just the distance between these pins here matters. Okay, I hope this rig is useful for you. If you want to try it out yourself, just download Pins and Boxes and Automation Blocks at aescripts.com. Thanks.